This video is for all kitesurfers out there who have tried to use a line mount and have been disappointed. In this example of a few years ago, I used the GoPro Hero 4 and the line mount, and as you can see, because the kite is turning all the time, the image is rocking upside down, the horizon is going all over the place, and the footage is virtually unusable, or you would need a lot of hours of processing. Obviously not a workable situation. So when I heard about a new device called the Revel, which came out about 2 years ago, I was very interested. I believe it was a Kickstarter project and I ordered it right away. The Revel is an action camera with a built-in gimbal specifically designed to keep the horizon level. Here I'm using the Revel on one eye in Mauritius, and you can see the Revel does a pretty okay job, but the horizon is not always level and it's quite jittery. So when I heard about the new horizon leveling feature of the GoPro Max, I thought, hey, this could be finally a real solution for the line mount in kitesurfing. I guess by now all of you have seen the GoPro Max, but for those of you who haven't, this is the device I'm talking about. So I tested out the GoPro Max on this nice autumn day, and the first thing that I noticed was I don't really have a good line mount. So I took the old Camrig line mount and I attached an extension on it of a GoPro mount so I could fix the GoPro Max in front of the line mount. This should be no problem in hero mode, as it only uses the front-facing camera. But in 360 mode, obviously you'll get the black plastic in view, which is not ideal, but it should give a pretty good impression of how the 360 footage looks like. This first test is with the GoPro Max in hero mode, with horizon leveling on and in 16:9, and you can only shoot in maximum resolution of 1080p and 60 frames, which is obviously much lower resolution than the GoPro Hero 8, but the horizon leveling is really a game changer. You can see that the GoPro Max does a real good job of horizon leveling. Only when I jump and the camera is right above me, there is no horizon, so it doesn't really know how to level that. But as soon as the horizon is back, it will go back to horizon leveling and it will be really stable. I was shooting in max super view, so very wide, and the horizon is pretty curved. When the camera is level to the horizon, it's much less curved, but as soon as the camera goes up, you can see this curving, which I don't really like that much. So that is a disadvantage, but as soon as the camera is lower, you see is less of a curve. Now, there is also a wide view, a linear view, and a narrow view, and I'll show you later when I put it on the linear view. It's more zoomed in, obviously, and you see much less curvation. So concluding this test, I'm very happy how the GoPro Max can actually solve this problem of the horizon leveling. It does a really good job, but now let's take a look how the 360 mode works. In the 360 mode, you can become much more creative. You can, for example, zoom in, as I'm doing now, or decide which view you actually want while the camera has filmed the whole 360 picture. The issue is that you will have to do the horizon leveling yourself, which is not a real problem, but it's much more work intensive. Now I do need to get used to when I zoom out that I have the idea that I'm in a very small world, the whole thing is curved. I haven't really found a way around that. I guess you just need to zoom in more, that you have a more straight horizon. As you need to do the horizon leveling yourself with keyframing, it's much more work intensive and it's actually less good than the camera does it in the hero mode. You can get more creative and zoom out, but as I don't have a good line mount, you can see that the line mount comes in view. So to conclude this test in 360 mode, it works, but it's not ideal. It's more work intensive, and the result is not as pleasing as in the hero mode, where it's really great that you can actually use the horizontal leveling in a great way. What obviously doesn't help that I don't have a good line mount, and that the line mount comes in view in the 360 mode, which is something which can hopefully be solved in the future. But if I look at the footage, it's just not as pleasing and professional as the hero mode. And now back to hero mode, where I tested it out with the linear setting, which is obviously much more zoomed in. Because it's more zoomed in, the horizon is more straight, but on the other hand, you lose a bit the horizon because it's very close up, even though I have the camera quite far back in the lines. It's not without issues, because it's so cropped, you'll see that sometimes, like now, you lose the person out of the frame if the lines go slack. So here you can see, as I down loop the kite, the image stays very stable and the horizon stays straight. So I must say I'm really impressed with this hero mode on the GoPro Max, and I'll probably use it in the wide mode, which is a little bit wider than this mode and has a little bit less curvature as the ultra wide mode has. So I hope you've got a good impression of the abilities of the GoPro Max with the line mount for kite surfers, but also with the camera mounted on your head, you can get some real nice footage, and it's much easier also to film your friends, as you don't have to look at them in the face, as you can there use the 360 in a very advantageous way. And I'll just show you now how that looks like. With the camera mounted on my head, I am actually not turning my head around when you see the camera turn, but I'm just keyframing it using a different part of the 360 image. So I hope you like this video and you have a better impression of all the capabilities of the new GoPro Max.
To find